honestly, I haven't really listened to any of the lyrics in depth on any of our records where I go, okay, I'm going to listen to this and really like listen to all the words and what is this about? I've never done that with the Sweet Lynch records, or probably a lot of the records I've worked on, especially the instrumental records.
Ghost Coat Magazine welcomes in guitar legend George Lynch. How are you doing today, friend?
Just being legendary, just hanging around. My wife's like, oh, you're such a legend. Could you take out the fucking trash, when you're done being a legend?
Nice work. Yeah, no one will keep you humble like your family and friends.
You know what's another way to keep your humility is to listen to what you've done.
Well, that's interesting because, you have quite a whole body of work to discuss. So obviously we're here today to talk about
sources that
a lot of stuff. Hopefully you don't have a lot of regrets. Hopefully you put stuff down and you said offline that you just kind of bang it out day by day and, drop it on, record everything. And hopefully you don't have a lot of regrets out there on your past work.
Musical regrets?
Yeah. Musical regrets.
No, I don't have any musical regrets. But I don't think I've had any musical high points where I've achieved something like transcended to the point like I've written a great song, or played that seminal solo that goes into the archives, or on the put in a time capsule or something. I accomplished that. So
wild. I definitely would pull out a few favorites, and I was skipping to the end of my interview questions. I was going to ask you about the 30th anniversary of Sacred Groove, which is later this year.
Oh wow.
But yeah, all the Dokken stuff is 35 years old, 40 years old this year. And you put together a body of work. This is your third album with Michael, Sweet and Lynch, and phenomenal stuff here. Heart and Sacrifice is the new record that we're here to talk about mostly, but I'm super stoked on this. This is great. We talked once like 10 years ago before I was part of Ghost Cult. So I think we spoke on the phone and you were between gigs and we talked for like 10 minutes. So I'm glad to see you here in your home studio.
The 30th anniversary of Sacred Groove is coming up because maybe the world will be so focused on celebrating that they won't have time to be having like wars in Somalia and the Ukraine thing and all that'll probably fall back into the background and people put their weapons down and their vitriol down and people will just be because they'll be celebrating out in the streets. Obviously
I would be music's a great escape, and I'm sure just as an artist it is for you to drown out the rest of the world and do your thing every day. I'm sure you play a little bit every day, and music's my great escape from the pain of the world, for sure.
Or can you go to another level, next level, and make it part of the solution as a vehicle for the message that addresses whatever it is, whatever subject you want to bring up, which are all tied together eventually, essentially.
Right on. Michael has made a whole career out of that, actually. So he would be probably in agreement with you on that. There's a lot of depth here on this record, and obviously Michael comes with his own legacy of 35-40 years in music himself and his solo career and stuff he works on. But these records together, this is the third, and eight I think it's almost 10 years since the first one too. I don't know, I'm kind of I sometimes, maybe this is a failure of me as a journalist, I do look at like, oh, what's like the timeline. So I like to think about like, I think it was the first record was, really killer. It took a few years to do the second. And now we've had like a whole global shutdown and a comeback. And you guys got back together, I believe, last year and, put this together. And you're both very busy with other stuff. So I think it's, it's really cool that we got this third record.
Yeah. And as you said, Mike, you made mention that Michael has spent his career addressing issues that we all face collectively through the vehicle of his musical message. But how does he do that actually?
Well, I think it's lyrics. I think it's songs. I think it's the actual language of music, just like you. I think, music is my favorite language, even more than English. And so, I think sometimes music's a healer and it's a helper a lot of times.
It seems like, I honestly, I haven't really listened to any of the lyrics in depth on any of our records where I go, okay, I'm going to listen to this and really like listen to all the words and what is this about? I've never done that with the Sweet Lynch records, or probably a lot of the records I've worked on, especially the instrumental records. That's a joke, but
Clever.
I got a feeling that with Michael, and I'm not saying this in a facetious way or anything, but the answer to our problems is Jesus, right?
Could be faith. Faith is one option for sure. There's a lot of other things. I think sometimes just putting out, I think a lot of people live in a bubble, right? I think we, especially in this internet time, this social media apps and things and streaming and a lot of distractions. And I think so there's a segment of the population that's really dialed into what's going on in the rest of the world outside of themselves. And I think there's a lot of people that are just inert drones that are not paying attention because they can't deal with it, or they don't want to see it, or they don't see it. And so I think, beyond, you said solutions, I'm more like, let's be aware of the problems as much as finding a solution. Because I think a lot of people are just, stuff goes over their head. They're not plugged in, or whatever media they're getting is not telling the whole story or the full story, or, but that's my personal bias.
Well, there's a lot of different media. So if you want to say collectively, media in general is not giving us the information we need to be aware. We have to have the awareness of truth to then start fixing something. You got to know what the problem is. And it has to be based on something analytical and truthful so that we can really know what we're talking about. So if we have no truth, then we don't have any tools to work with to even get at the base premise. So how can music help?
Well, I think, first of all, music is a tremendous channel to spread a message, hopefully usually positive one, but could be other things. And I think, if you're a person like Michael, who's very plugged into the human condition, not just his relationship and his faith and his religion and things like that, but the human condition, he sings about people and their problems and just overcoming those problems. A lot of times, a lot of his songs are triumphant and about kind of the human spirit, I think. And I think that's, if I had a thing that I appreciate the most about Michael, aside from his voice and his songwriting, it's that third element, which is, he's talking about the human spirit and, how we can help each other. I think that's, a tremendous service to people and humanity, much, other than another badass rock record with cool riffs and his incredible, we could talk about Michael's range all day long. Some of his best singing ever is on this record, in my opinion.
Oh,
He knocked it out. But, that other stuff is important too.
You've been to his house, you've been in his kitchen?
No.
You've seen his stove? Because you were talking about his range.
Oh, this guy's got jokes. George Lynch, comedian, folks. I like it though. Hey, you gotta have, you gotta, whatever helps pass the day. I would imagine Michael has a glorious house and a 4-grill Viking stove, like real pro shit. He probably likes to cook. His family, I bet the dinner table is a big deal at his home. And I suspect big meals, a lot of grilling.
So I think about these things a lot. So so if it's one thing to have positive affirmations, and it's another thing to have concrete solutions. And then I think music lies somewhere. I think where music can be most effective is when solutions are presented in an artistic way, and that takes a poet and a certain kind of creative mind to make that happen. Like Rage, John Lennon, Crosby, Stills and Nash, and Neil Young, Dylan to a certain extent, Hendrix, Pete Seeger. I mean, all the people that have done incredible work translating a perspective of the human condition and putting it in a light and in a way that we can all appreciate it in a musical vehicle. So you're enjoying the music, and then you're also getting the message, and the message is effective in enacting change, or at least awareness, for making the world a better place, just generally for most people most of the time. So Rage does a great job of that, because I think the music is effective on its own as a separate vehicle. I mean, I think half the Rage fans are not tuned into the lyrics. I think they just go to the concert. They want to get their asses rocked and just fucking listen to those fucking grooves and those riffs, and it's Nirvana. It's fucking awesome. That's all you really need. And then the other half get it, they get the messaging. And, how effective is that? I don't know. I mean, I tie Rage into Noam Chomsky, you know, who, and they are affiliated, they speak and they've, you know, that Noam's awareness and knowledge and wisdom, encyclopedic knowledge of history, and the way he conceptualizes our history and has put it all together, I think works really well with Tom and Rage, and the way that they present their music and their messaging. It's right in your face, it's unambiguous, it's full of righteous indignation, and rightfully so, it should be. So I subscribe to that a lot. I mean, I love it because it's just, there's no dancing around, I mean, it just gets right to the frickin' meat of the problem and tells the truth. And I love that. Stop wasting time. We don't have time to waste. So I love that. But that takes a special kind of person to be able to get that across. I'm not that guy. In my mind, in my heart, I would love to be, and I've tried, but I haven't been able to pull it off. I think it's almost like there's lyricists that I've worked with. I've worked with a lot of different singers, and I've seen all kinds of different ways that singers work. And there are just these few guys that just have this gift that it's just, they don't even have to try. I mean, I don't think it's just part of their wiring, their brain wiring, and they're poets, and they can get something across. They can get an idea across in a very beautiful, poetic way. That's, you're not getting preached to. It's not just black and white. It's sang or spoken in this way that's very powerful, like when you're listening to a person recite poetry, and that takes a very person. I think the most effective musical activists in history have been able to do that. They have that gift. I don't think I've ever worked with anybody like that.
There's still time.
Yeah.
There's always more time.
My watch here, I'm 68 3/4, so I better hurry up.
There you go. You definitely took care of yourself. That's a plus. I'm interested in just how you and Michael work together. Obviously he has his own, whole 2 other careers or 3 other bands that he has and other projects. Do you guys have? Well, let's say you're noodling around. Oh, that would be a good song for Sweet Lynch on the next record, or do you just? You said to me earlier offline, like you just kind of knock them out every day and, record every day and write every day. So are you just like, okay, Michael and I are going to make a record. Here's 12 more songs. Or does Michael also bring in a batch of songs that he lays on you to try?
All my projects are generally work the same way. I write everything musically and then hand it over to the singer. And they do the melodies and lyrics. It's pretty simple. Some singers are very self-contained, and some singers require a community collective effort. For instance, Lynch Mob, we just finished up a record called Babylon, and with the new lineup, and the singer is wonderful, Gabriel Colon, and he's just fantastic, and he brought an unexpected thing to the table. When he got in the studio, we'd never been in the studio with him before, and we've done a lot of shows, so live he's it sounds like Lynch Mob. We go out there and he sounds like Oni, but he sounds like himself, and he's got his own thing. He's a much younger cat and everything, and he's got great energy, great stage presence. He's wonderful. So he's a very sweet guy, very humble. And then we go to do the record, and I've never worked on a record with him, and he's not really that experienced. And I'm not saying in a bad way, but he's open to whatever. So it was really more of a collective community effort, where you get somebody like Oni or London LeGrand from Souls of We, or I'll just say those 2 guys. They were completely self-contained. They had their own world, that lived inside them. They knew exactly what they wanted to say, and there's nothing I could have contributed that would have made it any better. You know, they knew exactly, they had the vision. So, and it was very unique and personal. So those guys are very rare, you know. And Michael is one of those guys. I think he's a pro. You know, I don't have to worry about it. You know, I do the music. I know what he's going to do on top of it's going to be great. You know, he's you know, I mean, lyrically, we have talked about me contributing. I'm not a great lyricist, and self-admittedly, but I have to really work at it. What the idea was on the second record was maybe take the concept album approach, and which isn't done very often these days, probably for good reason. But then we ran into a snag when we said, okay, well, George, let's say we have your basket of songs, and you're an atheist, free thinker, and then we have my basket of songs, which I'm going to sing about how much I love Jesus and my wife, and who's going to sing your basket? And don't get me wrong, in my mind, I'm the world's greatest singer. Like in the shower, if I'm riding my motorcycle, or in the car with the windows rolled up at the stoplight, I'm the guy you look over and I'm singing along to the Celine Dion song, full blast, crying. And I sound really good. But then if I get on a mic in a studio, there's this like frog that somehow comes up in my throat and blocks all the sound. It's the evil "Don't Let George Sing Good" frog.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's a real thing. And I in my head, I grew up listening to singers. I grew up listening to, you know, Al Green and James Brown and Aretha Franklin, and, you know, all the R&B stuff, gospel stuff. I grew up in the gospel church, like Pentecostal Holy Roller Church, and I played in the band in Compton, California, South Central. We played. It's all black church, all revival. We did revivals, big tent revivals. That was my music. I cut my teeth on that. That was like, I've never played any rock venue or situation that was ever as intense as that. You know what I mean? I was just a guitar player. There was a keyboard player, there was a drummer. It was all about the singers, which were insane. And that's what I loved. You know, I grew up listening to blues, gospel, funk, you know, jazz to a lesser extent, and it's the singers are what I'm, you know, what inspired me. So I didn't really want to be a guitar player. I don't know why I ended up playing guitar, but when I write, I think, you know, I'm Paul Rodgers in my head. That's what I'm hearing. I mean, when I open my mouth, it doesn't come out like that. But so I'll use my guitar to kind of come up with the melodies that I wish I could sing. And it's not perfect, but gets, you know, I can convey ideas that way. But if I had anything I could wish for, like if I had a genie, a bottle, that's what I'd wish for, to be able to sing what I hear in my head.
Indeed. We also, I think the mechanism of the ear, we hear ourselves differently internally. And then when you hear it back on a recording or in a PA, it's jarring. It's still jarring. And I've done a lot of singing, and it's jarring because you just don't sound the same in your head how you think your perception of how you sound versus how you actually sound.
It's like your DMV, you know, you think you're decently, let me take the picture. Fuck. Do I get another shot at that? No. Really? Get another shot at your picture and everything else in life. We have iPhones. Why can't I just take a picture with my iPhone and get a good one and give it to you? I go, no, we have to go with this really shitty, fucking horrible picture of you. It doesn't even look like you. You look like...
Cell phones have 50 megapixel cameras now versus you know, the DMV camera that's taken 10 million pictures. So yeah, I get you.
We should start our own Department of Motor Vehicles alternative, where our whole thing is that we do very flattering photos. I don't know.
I like this.
I think we get a lot of that business.
We're going to get Freeman Promotions to do the publicity for it, to put out the first press release. Shout out to John.
And you'll be the tester instructor guy.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. Out of curiosity, this is a little, you mentioned the band a few minutes ago. Do you ever think in your whole life you'd have to like defend your last name or the name of the band you had? You've been around, you know, in the business a long time of entertainment, and these are definitely strange times. I'm glad to hear you have a new album on the way, and it's weird and disappointing when people distract. I get why people are sensitive about things 100%. I understand why, but like, it's so weird to me that you have to like explain in interviews and press releases about like your last name and a name of a band you had for 30 years.
Yeah, well, it was a problem from the start, and I'm not an idiot. Of course, I understand the ramifications of it, and I have to live with that. And I agree with my critics wholeheartedly, but I'm sort of in this dilemma of, well, it's my last name, and it's a great brand name for what it is, and we built it for 30 years, and that's the product that I use to, for my business. That's what I'm known for. If it's like Coke, oh, you can't use Coke anymore, you have to change it to, Brown Sugar Water Company or something. It's like, what the fuck? So I gotta keep it. I tried getting rid of it for a couple of years. I went to Electric Freedom, I think was the name, which wasn't very good. Hard to fit on the marquee and doesn't really conjure up the right thing. So whatever. Anyways, but at that point, I was trying to do more of a jam thing, and I had a couple of guys in the band it was just a trio, and we were going out and I've always wanted to be a jam band, because that's why I started out when I was a kid. Was just, we never had songs. We just go to play wherever we played, backyard parties or parks or schools or whatever, and we just jam. We just improvise. And this was, late 60s, early 70s. And I still love doing that. And I love it. I love it so much. I'm not sure the fans love it. I don't think the crowd loves it. I don't even think the rest of the band likes it, but fuck it. I like it. So it's my band. I can do what I want. So I'm just kidding. But anyway, so Electric Freedom was supposed to be that. We went out and kind of did that, but COVID hit really hard, and that just killed all that. So as a practical thing, I went back to the original name, obviously. But in my defense, I will say that I do talk to people about this a lot, and people of color especially, and they'll meet on the road or at an airport or in a town where I'm playing a gig. I'll invite them to the show, and they'll be, what's the name of the band? Oh, it's Lynch Mob. Oh, Lynch Mob. Oh, great. Does that come with chains? Fuck. First of all, I show my ID. That's the first course of business, and then from there I explain. First it was, I was in Dokken. I had this kind of little guitar crew that would always go to, normally guys that would come to the front of the stage, stand on my side, and became this kind of clique. And they started communicating, and it sort of grew into this little thing. And so I had picks made, or they had picks made, or the Lynch Mob. That's what they called themselves. And that's what it came from. And of course, I knew the other connotation of it, but it wasn't the name of my band. I wasn't thinking too much about it. But then everybody was like, when you ever get your own band, that has to be the name. And, racism wasn't like a massive topic as it should have been, but wasn't like it is now. And rightfully so that it is now. I wasn't getting that kind of pressure to not use it. And once I started using it, our first record was our biggest record ever. It did extremely well and stood the test of time. So that's really the underpinnings and the foundation of my whole career after Dokken. So for me to abandon that, which is pretty difficult, and I tried, but it didn't work. So, nothing in life is perfect. I know my heart, and I'll be willing to talk to anybody about anything, and listen to the messaging in my music. And I've had racist people come to my shows, and we've had terrible conflicts and almost come to blows. I mean, in the South, I remember we played some Lynch Mob show, and these guys showed up thinking that we were all a bunch of Nazis and KKK guys or something. We're going, no, we're the opposite of that. And they showed up with these guys were dressed like Vikings. They had shields and swords, and I'm not kidding, with the big furry boots on, like David Lee Roth used to wear. And I was like, what the swastika? What the fuck are they? So I'm in the parking lot. I go, oh shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who misguidedly confuse Norse paganism with like other shit.
Maybe that's logical for them to assume that, but our music, dude. I mean, it's
yeah,
not,
no.
I mean, I'm staring at some flight cases that I got to get on a plane with tomorrow that say Lynch Mob. We have to wheel those through the airport every day.
And if you go to Europe, they definitely think Americans are dumb and racist. That's their opinion of us. I'm from firsthand experience. And I have many great Ghost Cultists. It was founded in Europe. We have a lot of wonderful team members out there who don't think that, but because I'm trying to change that perception that we're not. But when I went to Europe for the first time, the question was like, what are my affiliations? And I was like, metal? Like, I don't know. I got a battle vest behind me. I got a beard and metal shirts, except for this one. Like, calm down. But I get it. It's hard. I really appreciate that answer. And it's, not the basis of everything I want to talk to you about, but like, I appreciate that you brought up the band. I'm excited for a new album. That sounds really cool. And, I appreciate that, you've been one of the rare people who doesn't deflect from any of that. Whereas everybody else is shooting up beer cans and dumb shit that I don't understand either. It's like, die on a different hill, pick a different hill to fight on than this, but whatever, people are people gonna people. I don't know. I want to wind this down and give you back your day since I know you need to get to the studio. There's so many crazy George Lynch stories I have heard, but what's the craziest story someone told you that wasn't true?
Oh, there's been a few. I'm sorry, you kind of catch me nothing comes to mind at the moment.
Yeah, I know this. I heard the story that you didn't get the Ozzy gig because you had short hair over Jake, which is Jake is amazing, but like, and I love those records, but it's like you put in a lot of work to audition for like, and travel with the band and stuff. And when Brad was in the band, I've interviewed Brad. I've met Jake. I asked this, I was like, could have been any of you guys. Brad, still had, his own band and he wanted to do, but like, it's funny that like, that's the reason maybe Sharon thought your hair was too short. That's crazy to me.
Well, Ozzy had the problem with that. He came into my room at one point, I'll never forget, and he was like talking to me. I could barely understand him because of the way he talks. But he was like, what the hell? Why'd you call your hair? However the accent is, I can't do that accent. And I was like, but when he was telling me that, he was bald.
Right. People forget that Ozzy had a perm and a Liberace gown in the mid 80s. And we don't talk about that, even though I love Shot in the Dark, but we don't talk about Ozzy's very glam phase.
So it's okay for the singer to be bald, but the guitar player can't just have like regular length hair.
Right.
Like long, like down to your ass, wavy, fair. Well, I was working as a truck driver at the time, and again down South Central, and delivering liquor, and it was a dangerous job, and I couldn't have long hair, and so it was a union job, so it was a good job. I had 2 kids, lived in an apartment, needed to pay my bills, and so when this opportunity came up, where I fucked up is I should have thought about that, and I should have invested. Since I didn't have any money, I could have rented a wig temporarily until mine grew back, and I think that would have worked fine. Actually, I think I would have been in Ozzy if I had rented a wig. It was one other problem, according to the wife of Ozzy. She was at a rehearsal and she was really bothered by the fact that my guitar was green. And she came up to me, she says, "Why does your guitar look like a booger?" That was my English accent, by the way. And and I was like, "Oh, well, I did a couple. I did one that was orange and yellow and black, and then I did this. The first one I did was this green one, and I don't know. I just brought this one. I had to think too hard about it." And she goes, "Oh, it's it looks like a booger." So ever since that, I've just called the booger guitar. So she named it, so that was cool. I didn't get the gig, so that wasn't. And again, I go back to like the money thing, because I always think about this. So it was like, okay, I spent a month with that camp, and I flew to Ireland and England and toured with them and traveled, and then we went to Texas and we rehearsed in Dallas for a while, and I brought in the bass player Don Costa, who was a friend of mine, and we practiced and auditioned, and me and Tommy and Don, and then we worked on the songs, and then we went to SIR in Hollywood. We did some more rehearsals, and then Wendy Dio kept hammering for this. Oh, get this guitar, that guitar player. She had Jake Lee and some other guys. And they go, you're in. We just got to give these guys a listen out of deference to Wendy. And then Jakey came in, and they picked Jakey while I was there. And I watched Jakey, and Jakey was self-admittedly horrible.
Right, he choked at the audition, apparently. Yeah,
he didn't play well at all, and it was just, I think, okay, no problem. But he looked fabulous. This is Jakey, peak Jakey. Had long hair, bass. He had this almost like Michael Jackson-ish full leather, thing with the buckles and the chrome, and I mean, that's what it was. So I think Sharon picked the guitar player, not Ozzy.
That's a shame. But I do again love those records with Jake.
Afterwards, in the little room back there, and Ozzy comes just kind of walking, and he goes, "Hey bloke," or whatever they say, in England. And And he goes, we're not going to be needing you. We're going to, but thanks for everything. Okay, bye. No handshake, no money. No, I'm sorry. You okay? What are you going to do after this? Nothing. No severance package. They never paid me a nickel. So my wife was there, and I actually literally cried, because it was a pretty profound thing for me, leaving Dokken, leaving my job, which I loved my job. It was a union job. It was very steady. I had 2 little babies at home. I had an apartment. I didn't have much. We had a Pinto station wagon, 73 Pinto station wagon, and we never had money. We were constantly broke, and so I was like, I just spent a month. So we get home. This is Anaheim. We lived in Anaheim, so we came from Hollywood, drove back to Anaheim. Her mom was watching the kids. We picked up the kids, go back to the apartment. There's an eviction notice on my apartment door. So we lost our apartment. So we had to move all our belongings out the next day into the Pinto station wagon and move into my mother-in-law's house, where I lived for another year or two. Very crowded townhouse, while I continued to try to get back on track. But was never an apology. Never like, hey, here's a couple $1,000s for your time, and so you pay your bills and not get kicked out of your apartment. Nothing like that. They're not considerate of any of our conditions as human beings and what we went through and sacrificed to do this. It was I have a very low opinion ever since then of I'm not sure exactly who. I don't want to name any names, but you can probably guess, imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow. I always wondered if that story was true. You just verified all of it. So, ouch. I am sorry that happened to you, but I'm glad you bounced back and did a whole bunch of other things in the last 38 years. And that's still not even, only half your career. So, and half your life. But, just for a final thought, I love to end these with a wild card question, which will certainly bring up the mood. If you could go back, get in the time machine and meet your younger self and give you some advice now, back then, what would you say to your younger George? Here's some advice for you, pal.
Invest in Amazon.
Right.
Yeah, at $8 before it's split 1,000 times. No, I'm just kidding. I say, so, well, regrets. Let's see. I guess it would be the thing, the thing that haunts us, through the rest of our lives. I think I'm generally try to be the best person I can be most of the time, but can't beat ourselves up too much. But yeah, all the drugging and all the rock star shit I was doing back then in the 80s, that was not healthy. And I know it was a sort of a product of the era, byproduct of the era, or whatever, and sort of almost what we were expected to do. It was almost like part of our job description. I remember feeling that. I remember feeling, okay, we're rock stars, so we need to do all this cocaine and be with all these, groupies and do all this stupid shit. But I do have some regrets about all that. Well, the drugs were damaging, obviously. But, there's an argument to be made for drugs that all the best music was written on it. And I can personally attest to that. I mean, Mr. Scary was written with my coke dealer in the studio over a 36-hour period. And as long as that mountain of coke stayed there, I kept playing, and we built that song on that mountain of coke. If that coke hadn't been there, that song wouldn't, there'd be no Mary. And a lot of
I think Don has also attested to that. I asked him that once myself, and he said the same thing. He's like, "Oh yeah, like there's no way we would have never got through the sessions." I was like, "Wow."
Well, it wasn't even get through the sessions. The cocaine was the inspiration. Without cocaine, there would have been no Dokken songs. Absolutely. You would have had the songs that were written before Dokken, which Don had some of his dumb songs, and I had some of my dumb songs from, pre-Dokken era. And it really we got focused was with the help of the drugs. And as bad as they are, and they are the fucking devil, that's for sure. But I'll tell you what, that shit was, that marching powder fucking got us to the front lines and over the hill. Yeah, no 2 ways about it. So make sure you do coke.
Don't do drugs, kids. Heart and Sacrifice was done with absolutely zero cocaine, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly. Listen to that album.
Listen to that album coming out on Frontiers SRL. on May 19th, and the vinyl is coming out in August. You know, George, really great catching up with you after a very long spell in my career. And thank you for your time, and thanks for sharing everything with us today.
I'm glad we got it done, man. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.